Hi everyone, it is Navneet Krishnan from IIT GATE classes. In this section, we are going to see GATE 2007 Aerospace Engineering Solutions for the topic Aircraft Stability and Control. In GATE 2007, GATE 2007 is asked for 150 marks. In GATE 2007, a total of 11 marks has been asked under the topic Aircraft Stability and Control. So, out of which 3 are 1 mark questions and remaining and 8 are 2 mark questions. So total of 41 marks as total of 19 marks has been asked under this section. Okay. So in that first question is question number 8. An airplane with a larger wing as compared to a smaller wing will necessarily have more longitudinal static stability. Option B, less longitudinal static stability. Option C, same longitudinal static stability. Option D, more longitudinal static stability for an aft tail airplane if the aerodynamic center of the larger wing is behind the CG of the airplane. First of all, when you compare like when you see wing alone configuration produces negative stability generally. So we cannot conclude an option based on that. So here some options are given. So first we will see why what is correct. So what is that? dCm by d alpha lift curve slope for an airplane should be negative in order to have a long, longitudinal stability. Okay, in order to have a longitudinal stability. So lift curve slope should be dCm by d alpha should be negative in order to have a static longitudinal stability. So that means HAC, that is CG, should be forward to the aerodynamic center of the airplane. That is, in order to have a longitudinal stability, CG should be before aerodynamic center for a larger wing in order to have a longitudinal stability. And one more condition is lift curve slope. What happens to the lift curve slope when you are using a larger wing? Larger wing corresponds to larger wing means it is having a increased span. That means increased aspect ratio. So larger increased aspect ratio, which means the whenever you are increasing the aspect ratio, the lift curve slope increases. The lift curve slope increases. The figure I drawn somewhat is not showing that. So lift curve slope increases whenever aspect ratio is increased. That means, for example, this is the aspect at aspect ratio 4. This is at aspect ratio 8. So lift curve slope increases whenever aspect ratio is increased. That means larger wing will have larger lift curve slope, that is larger EA. So that means if here option D can be correct because larger wing will have a larger lift curve slope and will have a larger longitudinal stability, more longitudinal stability compared to smaller wing. If aerodynamic center, that is CG, is forward of aerodynamic center, that is, if aerodynamic center of the larger wing is behind the CG of the airplane, then it is having longitudinal stability. Only when this condition is satisfied, it will have a longitudinal stability. But when we are using a larger wing, lift curve slope will be larger, and that means it will have more longitudinal stability if this condition is satisfied. Thereby, option D is the correct answer. Okay. Now, next question. Question number 10. Two airplanes are identical except for the location of the wing. The longitudinal static stability of the airplane with low wing configuration will be option A more than airplane with high wing configuration. Option B less than the airplane with high wing configuration. Same as the airplane with high wing configuration. Option D elevate more if elevator is reflected. Here what happens is since we are using a identical wing, since two airplanes are identical except for the location of the wing, that is only the wing location is changed. That means they are having same aerofoil and same it is same, that is identical means it is at same angle of attack, uh, same aerofoil is used. So since every condition is same, it produces same lift. If same lift is produced, it produces same pitching moment coefficient. If same pitching moment coefficient, then it will have same dcm by d alpha value. That means the longitudinal static stability of the airplane with low wing configuration will be same as the airplane with high wing configuration, because since it is identical. So because longitudinal static stability condition is dcm by d alpha should be negative, only this is the condition for longitudinal stability. But here what happens is since we are using identical sections, what happens, lift produces same, so pitching moment thereby pitching moment coefficient is same, thereby dcm by d alpha value is same. So both the wing will have, that is high wing configuration and low wing configuration will have same longitudinal static stability. So option C is the correct answer. Next, question number 11. For a fixed center of gravity location of an airplane, when the propeller is mounted on the nose of the fuselage, option A, longitudinal static stability increases. Option B, longitudinal static stability decreases. Option C, longitudinal static stability remains same. Option D, longitudinal static stability is maximum. Now, to understand this, first, there is there is a airplane without propeller. Now we'll see there is an airplane with the propeller. Since a propeller is there, what happens? Say a propeller is mounted at the front. CG location should be changed. Already CG was somewhere here. Let us assume. Now CG more weight is added at the front. Thereby CG location is shifted front. So what happens? That means dcm by d alpha should be negative for static longitudinal stability. That means CG should be forward of the aerodynamic center. Since CG is shifted forward due to mounting of propeller, it will have more longitudinal static stability. But here given condition is fixed center of gravity. That means center of gravity is not changed. If center of gravity is not changed, location center of gravity location is not changed, that means it will have same longitudinal static stability. Because with and without propeller, center of gravity location is not changed, so it should have same longitudinal static stability. But what happens here is since there is a propeller mounted there, it when it is rotating anti-clockwise, what happens is it generates a normal force like this. That is, clear all these images to show what is happening. So whenever you are mounting a propeller like this at the front, a normal force will be generated due to the rotation of the propeller. What happens? This normal force which generates a clockwise moment there. like this. Okay, clockwise movement like this. So what happens? Clockwise pitching movement like this. So since which means as angle of attack increases, pitching moment coefficient increases. Okay, as angle of attack increases, pitching moment coefficient increases. Thereby, it produces a destabilizing effect. Since propeller is mounted at the front, there is no change in CG. There is a normal force is generated, which creating a clockwise moment. So, since it is a positive moment is created due to that, it is producing a destabilizing effect. If it is producing a negative moment, then it will be producing a stabilizing effect. But even when we are changing angle of attack, it will produce a clockwise moment. Thereby, what happens is it is producing a destabilizing effect. It will destabilize the aircraft. Okay, so option B is the correct answer. That is, longitudinal static stability decreases when propeller is mounted at the nose of the fuselage when it is having a fixed CG location for an airplane. If it is CG location of an airplane is not, it is allowed to change. That means it will have more longitudinal stability. Since CG location is not allowed to change, it is creating a destabilizing effect because of the rotation of the propeller, which is creating a normal force, which is creating a positive pitching moment coefficient. Thereby, it is causing destabilizing effect. Question number 34. An airplane model with a symmetrical airfoil was tested in a wind tunnel. Cm naught, that is pitching moment at zero angle of attack, was estimated to be 0.08 and 0 respectively for elevator settings of 5 degree up and 5 degree down. The estimated value of the elevator control power dCm by d Delhi, dou Cm by dou Delhi of the model will be option A 0.07 per degree, option B 1.065 per degree, option C minus 0.008 per degree, option D minus 0.762 per degree. Okay, what is the elevator control power? Elevator control power is dou Cm by dou Delhi. So dou Cm by dou Delhi can be dou Cm by dou Delhi is nothing but so it is Cm2 minus Cm1 divided by Delhi2 minus Delhi1. Pitching moment coefficient at zero angle of attack for elevator setting of 5 degree up, 5 degree down. If it is 5 degree up, is 0.008, 5 degree down is 0 divided by deflecting elevator upward is negative, deflecting elevator downward is positive. So upward deflection of elevator 5 degree, that is minus 5 degree, minus of downward elevated deflection is positive, so it is fine. So it is 0.08 divided by minus 10. So correct option is option C, minus of 0.008 per degree. Okay. Question number 35. The lateral directional characteristic equation for an airplane gave the following set of roots: lambda 1 equal to minus zero point 0.6, lambda 2 equal to minus 0.002, lambda 3 comma 4 equal to minus 0.00 minus 0.06 plus or minus j into 1.5, where j is equal to root of minus 1. That is, it is an imaginary complex pair with an imaginary negative real part. Okay, the damping ratio corresponds to the Dutch roll mode will be option A 0.04, option B 0.66, option C 0.35, option D 0.18. The thing is, this is a lateral directional characteristic equation for an airplane. First, lambda 1 corresponds to lambda 1, which is a negative real part alone, which corresponds to roll convergence. Lambda 2, which is having a negative, again a negative real part, but which is having a smaller value, very smaller value, which corresponds to spiral mode. Lambda 3 comma 4, which is having a negative real part with an imaginary complex pair. This root corresponds to this eigenvalue set, which is corresponding to this root corresponding to Dutch roll, because in order to have a Dutch roll, it should have an undamped oscillation with a negative real part. So Dutch roll mode is given by the roots lambda 3 comma 4. So this is the lambda 3 comma 4 is the Dutch roll mode. From that, the Dutch roll stability, that is, from that equation can be written as characteristic equation can be written as s square plus 2 into epsilon d omega d into s plus omega d square equal to 0, where omega d is the damping natural frequency, epsilon d is the damping ratio of the Dutch plane mode. From this, let's find out, that is, the characteristic equation can be rearranged as a square plus bs plus c equal to 0. So if we divide throughout by a, we'll get it as s square plus b by a into s plus c by a equal to 0. Okay. Minus of b by a can be obtained from adding these two roots, adding the complex pair lambda 3 plus lambda 4. So that is minus 0.00 minus 0.06 plus j into 1.5 plus minus 0.06 minus of j into 1.5. So imaginary part will be cancelled. So only the real part will be summed up. So it is minus of 0.12. So minus of b by a is minus 0.12. From that, b by a can be obtained as 0.12. Now, in order to calculate what is c by a, it is nothing but lambda 3 into lambda 4. That is multiplying the complex pair. Minus of, that is, if you multiply, what happens? Minus of 0.0. This, when I multiply, what happens? Lambda 3 into lambda 4. What is lambda 3 into lambda 4? That is minus 0.06 plus j into 1.5 into minus 0.06 minus j into 1.5. When we multiply, what happens? It is a square minus b square will get it. So minus 0.06 square minus of j square into 1.5 square. J square is nothing but minus 1. J is root of minus 1. So j square is minus 1. So minus into minus, it will become plus. So it will become minus of 0.06 square plus 1.5 square. That is equal to 2.253. So when I substitute, my characteristic equation becomes as s square plus 0.12112 of 12 into s plus 2.253 into equal to 0. Okay, this is my characteristic equation. When I compare this equation with this equation, I get omega d square equal to 2.253. So from that, damping natural frequency is equal to 1.501 radian per second. So when I compare other equation, what happens? It is 2 into epsilon d into omega d equal to 0.12. So we already know what is omega d. From substituting that, we'll get epsilon d equal to 0.041. This is a damping frequency, damping ratio of Dutch roll. So option A is the correct answer. Okay. So we can calculate what is the damping ratio of the Dutch roll using this characteristic equation, comparing it with the using this equation, which is undamped underdamped characteristic equation. Okay, and comparing it with the characteristic equation, we'll get it as we'll get both our damping natural frequency and damping ratio. Okay, there is one other way to calculate this damping ratio. Okay, how will we calculate? We'll see. The thing is, lambda 3 comma 4 equation is minus 0.06 plus or minus j into 1.5. So which is an underdamped oscillation, underdamped system equation. So that is, it can be written as lambda 3 comma 4 is an Dutch roll equation, underdamped oscillation, which belongs to underdamped oscillation. So zeta into omega n plus or minus root of 1 minus zeta square into omega n. It is okay, zeta square into omega n. It is not inside root, it is outside root. Okay, plus or minus I into. So I or j, whatever it is a complex term. Okay, that's the thing. So by comparing these two equations, we can get zeta into omega n equal to minus 0.06. So from that, zeta can be obtained as 0.06 divided by omega n. Okay, this is one equation. Next, root of 1 minus zeta square into omega n. Root of 1 minus zeta square into omega n equal to 1.5. Square it on both sides. So we'll get 1 minus zeta square into omega n square equal to 1.5. For zeta, we know that from this relation, substitute zeta equal to 0.06 into 06 divided by omega n. So when I substitute, it becomes 0.06 square divided by omega n square into omega n square equal to 1.5 square. Square it on both sides. Okay, 1.5 square. So what happens to my equation? My equation becomes as omega n square equal to, when I substitute, when I simplify this, I get omega n square equal to 2.2536. So from that natural frequency, this is not damped natural frequency, it is natural frequency, that is equal to 1.501 radian per second. Okay, substitute 1.501 for omega n, we'll get zeta equal to 0.06 divided by 1.501. So we'll get it as 0.04. So damping ratio can be calculated using this or the previous method. Okay, both are identical but using different relations. That's it. Question number 38. If the contribution of only the horizontal tail of the airplane was considered for estimating dou cm by dou alpha, if the tail moment arm was doubled, then how many times the original value would be the new dcm by d alpha becomes? Okay. Option A 2 times, option B 3 times, option D 1.414 times, option D 1.732 times. Okay. If only tail, horizontal tail is calculated, used, dou cm by dou alpha can be written as minus eta t vh at into 1 minus dou epsilon by dou alpha. Epsilon is downwash, 1 minus dou epsilon by dou alpha into at is the lift course. So for the horizontal tail, vh is the volume ratio, volume factor, volume quotient or volume factor or volume ratio with respect to wing. Okay, tail volume coefficient with respect to wing. Eta t is the it's the ratio of dynamic pressure with respect to dynamic pressure over the tail with respect to wing. So this is dcm by d alpha. So dcm by d alpha for tail, horizontal tail alone, is directly proportional to vh, which is the tail volume coefficient, which is equal to st into lt divided by s into c, where st is the tail, horizontal tail wing area, horizontal tail area, where s is the wing area, lt is the moment lift arm, tail lift arm, tail moment arm or tail lift arm, whatever it is. C is the mean aerodynamic chord of the wing. So that means dou cm by dou alpha value is directly proportional to moment lift arm, moment, tail momentum. Okay, so when tail momentum is doubled, dcm by d alpha value is also doubled. So option A is the correct answer. That is, it is the new dcm by d alpha will become 2 times. Question number 39. If vertical tail of the airplane is inverted and put below the horizontal tail, then contribution of roll derivative for dcl by d beta will be option A negative, option B positive, option C imaginary. Okay. Vertical tail of the airplane produces lift force when. Okay. Okay. We already know that rolling and yawing is a coupled motion. Okay. First, let us assume that the airplane is side slipped towards the side slipped. Okay. Whenever the airplane is side slipped, what happens is since um, since it is side slipping towards the if you are seeing from CG of an airplane, when it is side slipping towards right starboard, vertical tail produces a side force towards port side. Since when it is tilting towards this side, what happens? There will be a increased velocity on this side, thereby it creates a side force on this side, on the port side. When it is tilting towards starboard side, it creates a side force towards port side, which is creating a stabilizing moment. Okay, which is creating a stabilizing moment. When it is side flipped towards an angle beta, it creates a stabilizing yawing moment. When it is creating a stabilizing yawing moment, what happens? What happens to its roll derivative? That is, whenever it is creating a stabilizing yawing moment, it creates a negative roll derivative because rolling towards starboard is positive. That is, rolling towards starboard is positive. But here, what happens is it is rolling towards port for creating a positive, for creating a positive stabilizing effect. Okay. To make it clear, we'll again redraw this to understand what happens. That is, in case of side slip towards port side, starboard side, consider this is an airplane which is side slip towards starboard side about an angle beta. Since it is side slipping towards starboard side, there will be a increase side wash like this generated towards port, which creates an side force towards port side. Thereby, it produces a since CG is CG is somewhere here, since the side force is somewhere above CG, what happens? It creates a stabilizing rolling moment. Stabilizing rolling moment. It creates a stabilizing rolling moment. But in when we are considering roll derivative, what happens is rolling towards starboard is positive, rolling towards port is negative. So it creates in a since it is going towards port, going towards port, what happens is it is creating a roll derivative, negative roll derivative. Similarly, if your vertical tail is inverted towards inverted bottom, what happens is it creates a positive negative destabilizing effect for roll, which is creating a positive roll derivative. That is, whenever you are keeping in an keeping a vertical tail above the horizontal tail, what happens? It creates a due to some side slip, it creates a uh, stabilizing effect for rolling movement, but roll derivative is negative. Similarly, when you invert the that is when you keep the vertical tail below the horizontal tail inverted, that is inverted, what happens? It creates a destabilizing effect, but destabilizing rolling moment, but a positive roll derivative. Thereby, option B is the correct answer. Okay, option B is the correct answer. Question number 43. If the horizontal tail area is increased with while the elevated to horizontal tail area ratio is kept the same. If the horizontal tail area is increased while the elevated to horizontal tail area ratio is kept the same, then option A, both longitudinal static stability and elevator control power will increase. Option B, only longitudinal static stability will increase. Option C, only elevator control power will increase. Option D, neither stability nor control power changes. Okay. What happens is when horizontal tail area is increased, what happens to the longitudinal stability? First we'll see. Then we'll see what happens to the elevator control power. Here, whenever dou cm by dou alpha for horizontal tail is nothing but minus eta t vh at into 1 minus dou epsilon by dou alpha. Okay, we already seen this relation previously. Now we'll see dou cm by dou alpha is directly proportional to vh. Vh is nothing but st into lt divided by s into c. What happens when horizontal tail area is increased? That is, st value is increased, vh is also increased. When vh value is increased, dou cm by dou alpha value is also, that is negative value is also increased. So that means by increasing horizontal tail area, longitudinal static stability increases. Now we'll see what happens to the elevator power. So what happens to the elevator power? What is elevator power? How will you find out elevator power? Dou cm by dou del D value indicates our elevator power. Eta t vh dou clt by dou del D. So what happens? We already seen vh it is increasing. That is vh is increased because st is elevator area is tail area is increased. Okay, thereby dou cm by dou del E value is also increases. Dou cm by dou del E corresponds to elevator power. When st is increased, what condition is here given? While the elevator to tail area ratio should be kept same. That is sc by st should be same. When st value is increased, here sc also increased by the same amount. Elevator area is also increased by the same amount. That is what the condition here. But here the elevator power is directly proportional to vh. Vh is directly proportional to st. When st is increased, horizontal tail area is increased, then elevator power is increased. That is, for the same elevator deflection, it provides increased moment about CG, thereby giving rise to increased elevator power. Okay, hence option A is the correct answer. That means it increases both elevator control power and longitudinal static stability. Now we'll see a common data question, which is this is the common data for question number 71, 72, and 70. An airplane designer wants to keep longitudinal static stability margin within 5% to 15% of the mean aerodynamic curve. A wind tunnel test of the model shows that xcg bar equal to 0.3. This xcg bar is nothing but the non-dimensionalized cg location with respect to chord of the wing, that is equal to 0.3. dcm by dcl equal to minus 0.1. Note that the distance from the wing leading edge to the cg center of gravity has been non-dimensionalized by dividing it by mean root chord, that is such that xcg bar is nothing but xcg by mean aerodynamic chord. That's what I say. Note also that relation dcm by dcl is equal to minus of static margin. Holds true for this airplane. Okay. In that, question number 71 is the most forward location of airplane CG permitted to fulfill designer's requirement on longitudinal stability margin is. What is the most forward location of the CG of an airplane? Okay, so static margin is nothing but neutral point minus CG. Okay, already it is given as dcm by dcl equal to minus of static margin. So minus of static margin. Already they are given it is minus 0.1. dcm by dcl is minus 0.1. That is, I am rewriting this. dcm by dcl they have given docl, they have given it is equal to minus of static margin, which is nothing but x np of neutral point minus xcg bar. So here static margin value, that is dcm by dcl value is given, which is nothing but it is minus of xnp minus xcg. It is given where xnp minus xcg is nothing but your static margin. So here this value is given equal to 0.1, that is equal to minus of xnp bar minus xcg bar. Okay, so what we have to calculate, what has been given, the most forward location of CG permitted to fulfill the designer's requirement for longitudinal static stability of an airplane. So CG location is also given 0.3. Okay, CG location is equal to given as 0.3. So CG location 0.3. When I substitute here CG equal to x bar CG equal to 0.3, I get XNP location as 0.4. Okay, for most forward look. So neutral point location we have calculated. What is that neutral point location? Neutral point location is 0.4 because we know this value. CG value is 0.3. So substituting this, XNP value, neutral point value is equal to 0.4. So static margin is nothing but XNP minus XCG. That is equal to, there is two values which is given. One is 15%. Static margin value changes between 15% to 5% to 15% of mean aerodynamic chord. So already it is non-dimensionalized. So that is equal to 8. It should be non-dimensionalized. So the thing is, so I'm writing here. Static margin is nothing but x and p bar minus xcg bar, that is equal to 0.15, 5% to 15%. So in order to have more forward location for CG, it should be at 15%. So what happens? XCG value, we'll get it as XCG bar equal to XNP bar minus of 0.15, that is nothing but 0.04 minus 0.15, sorry, 0.4 into 15 minus, because neutral point value, neutral point doesn't change. CG location can be shifted by changing the static margin location. So neutral point location remains fixed irrespective of change in the angle of attack or CL. Okay, so we'll get it as 0.25. So from that, see, if we are this is non-dimensionalized with respect to mean aerodynamic guard. So CG location is 0.25 of C. If we are using 5% static margin, that is static margin is shifted from 5% to 15%. So if I use 5%, what happens to this? So x and p bar minus xcg bar is nothing but 0.05, 5%. So this is 0.4 minus 0.005 equal to xcg bar. So that is xcg bar is nothing but 0. It's not 0.005, it is 0.5. So xcg bar is 0.35. So with respect to card, it is at 0.35 C. So most forward location of CG is 0.25 C, because 0.35 C is behind. So most forward location of CG is 0.25 C. So the answer is, so the option is, option B is the correct answer for question number 71. Most question number 72 is the most apt location of CG permitted to fulfill the designer's requirement on longitudinal static stability is option A 0.35 C, option B 0.45 C, option C 0.52 C, option D 0.67 C. So already we calculated the other CG location for 5% of static margin, which is nothing but 0.35 C. So the most apt location is 0.35 C. So option A is the correct answer. Okay. Now question number 73. The center of gravity location to have dou d del E by dCl equal to 0. So the thing is d del E by dCl should be equal to 0. Okay, which can be rewritten as d del E by dCm into dCm by dCl, which can be rewritten as 1 by dCm by d del E into dCm by dCl. In order to have d del E by dCl equal to 0, either 1 divided by dCm by d del E should be 0 or dCm by dCl should be 0. Okay. So if 1 divided by dcm by d del is 0, del E equal to 0, that means this implies dcm by d del E equal to infinity. Either this or dcm by dcl should be equal to 0 in order to achieve d del E by dcl equal to 0. That is, either elevator power should be infinity or dcm by dcl should be equal to 0. So the thing here is, only thing possible is dcm by dcl can be 0 because elevator power cannot become infinity. So dcm by dcl equal to 0, which means uh, minus of xnp bar minus xcg bar equal to 0. Minus, when it is 1 on the other side, it becomes 0. So xnp bar is nothing but equal to xcg bar. So the new center of gravity location is same as the neutral point location, which is nothing but 0. Sorry, 0.4 c, because neutral point location is 0.4 c. That is what we have seen in the previous problem. Because since it is a linked question, it is the neutral point location. CG location is at the neutral point location for the given condition d del E by dCl equal to 0. I repeat again. In order to have in order to have d del E by dCl equal to 0, either elevator power should be infinity or dCm by dCl equal to should be equal to 0. Since elevator power cannot become infinitive, only thing possible is dCm by dCl equal to 0. By using this condition, what happens is my CG location is same as the neutral point location. Neutral point location doesn't change with respect to alpha or Cm. It is a fixed point. So it is same as the aerodynamic center of the wing. Only thing is, it is for a whole aircraft, a fixed point, about which pitching moment coefficient is constant, doesn't change with respect to CL or alpha. Aerodynamic center is defined for only for a wing or any one component, not the whole aircraft. So it is also the same definition. Pitching moment coefficient is constant. It doesn't change with respect to alpha or CL. So in this, CG location is same as neutral point location. So it is equal to 0.4 C, which is option D is the correct answer. With this section is over.